Rosenberg, thank you so much for this. David Rosenberg is chief economist and strategist at Rosenberg Research Associates. Again, the latest weekly jobless claims figures come out at 8:30 a.m. Wall Street time. Average economist surveyed by Bloomberg predicts another 4.5 million claims after about 5.25 million just last week. And markets are relatively flat right now. S&P futures up 1.5, Dow futures down 6, NASDAQ futures lower by 5 points. You're listening to Bloomberg Daybreak.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. House lawmakers are set to pass another economic rescue package today in response to the coronavirus pandemic. Meanwhile, President Donald Trump signed an order temporarily curbing immigration to limit competition for jobs as the U.S. moves toward reopening the economy. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin said he anticipates most of the economy will restart by the end of August. Stocks regained some ground yesterday as oil prices turned around. The S&P 500 and the Dow each rose by about 2%. The NASDAQ gained almost 3%. The consumer products giant Unilever has withdrawn its financial guidance for the year because of coronavirus-related disruptions. Unilever brands include Dove soap and Ben & Jerry's ice cream. Royal Caribbean is in talks to raise hundreds of millions of dollars in new financing to weather the travel industry shutdown. The cruise operator, which extended its global suspension until June 11th, said last week it's cutting more than 1,300 U.S. jobs. Gina Cervetti, Bloomberg Radio.
Asset managers who seize change to launch new strategies, add distribution channels, or exploit new technology to re-engineer the investor experience are often rewarded. However, in an industry paralyzed with complexity, few act with agility or decisively. Few run their business strategically. Yet, the most competitive managers in the market know with the right partner and a flexible operating platform, you can. Go boldly toward change with SEI Investment Manager Services.
I'm Steve Meyer, president of SEI's Investment Manager Services. At SEI, we understand the emerging forces that will define success for asset managers and what firms will need to compete tomorrow. That's why we continually optimize SEI's global operating platform. If your business requires greater agility, our advanced technology, integrated best-in-class systems, and multi-asset expertise can be your catalyst for business transformation.
With SEI Investment Manager Services, you lead the charge in a competitive marketplace. Learn more at SEIC.com/seize change.
Business is constant.
Okay, people, I've got the daily checklist. Who today has eaten dinner for breakfast? Tick. Started a chore you'll never finish? Tick. Done a conference call in your pajamas? Tick. Here's another for your list. BritBox. Streaming the BBC, ITV, Channel 5, and now Channel 4. All in one place and ad-free. So add BritBox to your list and get a 30-day free trial of the biggest box of British box sets. Search BritBox free trial. Tick. Biggest compared to other SVOD providers. Auto-renews at $5.99 a month unless cancelled. T's and C's apply.
Typical Danny. Imagine trying to unwind at a spa weekend and you wind up getting your mud pack all over your fave personalised dressing gown. But no worries, just one wash and my clothes will smell perf with Surf. Surf gives you long-lasting fragrance with natural essential oils. Find your fragrance in Surf's laundry range.
This is a message from the government. Coronavirus is a national emergency, life-threatening for people of all ages everywhere in the UK. To help save lives, stay home. Only go outside for food, health reasons, daily exercise, or to work, but only if you cannot work from home. Stay home. Anyone can get it, and anyone can spread it. Coronavirus. Stay home, protect the NHS, save lives.
We've never been further apart, yet somehow never closer. At Barclays, we think it's important to celebrate the people making a difference and help support those affected during these extraordinary times. That's why we're supporting the Big Night In appeal. We've kickstarted our donation with £1 million, and if you're a Barclays customer, we'll match your donation pound for pound, up to a total of another £1 million. So if you can, please join Barclays and donate at barclays.co.uk. All donations will be split between the registered charities.
The moves may be choreographed, but the drama is real.
I dare you, I beg you to come down here right now.
Stay on top of everything happening in the pro wrestling universe with the Body Slamming podcasts on TuneIn. For passionate recaps of the most recent SmackDown, check out the What's Wrong with Wrestling show. And for a pro wrestler's perspective on life and culture at large, listen to Talk is Jericho. For these and more podcasts, search sports and scroll down to the world of wrestling.
From the Bloomberg Interactive Broker Studio in New York, Bloomberg 1130. To Washington, D.C., Bloomberg 99.1. To Boston, Bloomberg 106.1. To San Francisco, Bloomberg 960. To the country, Sirius XM Channel 119. And around the globe, the Bloomberg Business app and BloombergRadio.com. This is Bloomberg Daybreak.
It's 5:30 on Wall Street. Good morning. I'm Nathan Hager.
And I'm Karen Moscow. We are just about 4 hours away from the opening of U.S. trading. Let's get you up to date on the news you need to know at this hour. U.S. futures are higher as oil prices stabilize. Coming up today, the House takes up a bill to free up nearly $500 billion for small business. Quick passage is expected. We spoke with House Speaker Nancy Pelosi.
We will be able to, in a very strong bipartisan way, to pass the legislation as it passed in a bipartisan way in the Senate.
Well, after that expected passage, Pelosi wants an aid package for state and local governments. That puts her at odds with Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell.
I think this whole business of additional assistance for state and local governments needs to be thoroughly evaluated.
Speaking on the Hugh Hewitt show, McConnell said he'd rather see states declare bankruptcy.
There's not going to be any desire on the Republican side to bail out state pensions.
And the comments put McConnell at odds with officials in New York and New Jersey. And as the infection rate in those states decline, the effort to test and trace the virus is ramping up. For more, we're joined live by Bloomberg's John Tucker. John, good morning.
And good morning, Karen. Governor Andrew Cuomo announced plans to coordinate contact tracing efforts with New Jersey and Connecticut.
You don't have months to plan and do this. You have weeks to get this up and running.
Michael Bloomberg, former mayor of New York, majority owner, Bloomberg LP, the parent of Bloomberg Radio, will design the contact tracing program with Johns Hopkins University and Vital Strategies. Governor Cuomo says southern New York is now on the descent of the curve after a third day of fatalities below 500. Live in New York, I'm John Tucker, Bloomberg Daybreak.
All right, John, thank you. The economic toll from the virus has been massive, and we learned more about the fallout this morning with the latest reading on filings for unemployment benefits. Here with more is Bloomberg's Vinny Del Giudice.
Economists surveyed by Bloomberg are forecasting workers filed another 4 million or so jobless claims last week. That will push the total number of workers on furlough or worse to more than 25 million since late March. Bloomberg Economics reports the share of the American labor force claiming jobless benefits has topped 8%, implying America's unemployment rate is heading toward 15% or higher. Vinny Del Giudice, Bloomberg Daybreak.
All right, Vinny, thank you. S&P futures are up 6 points this morning. Dow futures up 38. NASDAQ futures up 12. The DAX in Germany is little change. 10-year Treasury up 1/32. Yield 0.61%. The yield on the 2-year 0.21%. NYMEX crude oil is up almost 13%. It's at $15.57 a barrel. And COMEX gold is up 0.8% at $1,751.60 an ounce. And straight ahead, we have the latest world and national news, and this is Bloomberg.
All right, Karen, thank you. It is 5:33 on Wall Street. Let's bring back Michael Barr to find out what else is going on around the world. Michael?
Thank you very much, Nathan. New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy slams Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell for saying he favors allowing states struggling with high pension costs during the coronavirus pandemic to declare bankruptcy rather than giving them a federal bailout.
Come on, man. That is completely and utterly irresponsible. There's no level of responsibility associated with that, and I don't care what party you're in.
Meanwhile, Murphy says the state passed a grim milestone as total deaths from the coronavirus topped 5,000. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo says his state is seeing progress in the fight against COVID-19, but there's no evidence to suggest that New York is ready to reopen soon. Cuomo says that some local officials have expressed impatience about remaining closed for business, but Cuomo says any reopening efforts set forth now could reverse the progress made in fighting the spread of the virus.
We get reckless today. There are a lot of contacts today, unprotected contacts today. You'll see that hospitalization rate go up 3, 4, 5 days from today.
Cuomo and other regional governors are devising a plan to collectively reopen the area. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo says the U.S. strongly believes that China failed to report the outbreak to the World Health Organization and purposely hid vital information that could have warned the world of the pandemic to come.
Even after the CCP did notify the WHO of the coronavirus outbreak, China didn't share all of the information it had. Instead, it covered up how dangerous the disease is. It didn't report sustained human-to-human transmission for a month until it was in every province inside of China. It censored those who tried to warn the world. It ordered a halt to testing of new samples, and it destroyed existing samples.
Also at the press briefing, Pompeo told reporters Iran needs to be held accountable after Iran's Revolutionary Guard launched its first satellite into space. The WHO said that there are 83 coronavirus vaccines in development globally, with 6 candidates, half of them in China, already in human trials. That's an improvement from April 13th, when the WHO said that there were 70 vaccines in development, with 3 candidates in human trials. Nearly 24 deadly tornadoes tore across Oklahoma and Texas last night, leaving a swath of damage. Global news 24 hours a day, on air and on Quick Take by Bloomberg, powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. I'm Mike Labar. This is Bloomberg. Nathan.
Thank you, Michael. 5:35 on Wall Street. John Stashower is here with us for the Bloomberg Sports Update. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Nathan. The NFL draft back in New York, where it always used to be until they started going to other cities. It won't be at Radio City. Far from it. The picks will be announced tonight by Commissioner Roger Goodell from his basement in Bronxville. The Bengals are on the clock. The Giants have the 4th pick. The Jets pick 11th. It's a big night for the Dolphins. They have 3 first-rounders. Leonard Williams wants the Jets' first-round pick. Last fall traded to the Giants. He has signed his franchise tag tender. How much he'll make depends on what position it's determined he plays. He says defensive end, where he can make more than if he's deemed a tackle. Rob Gronkowski says he might have come out of retirement even if Tom Brady had chosen to stay in New England. Brady, of course, went to Tampa Bay. Gronk will now join them, and the Patriots might now try to land tight end O.J. Howard in a trade with the Bucks. The Red Sox had to be worried after baseball came down hard on the Astros for what they did, stealing signs on their way to winning the 2017 World Series. The Sox were accused of doing it while winning the series the next year, but the punishments came, and they were basically a slap on the wrist. The forfeiture of a second-round draft pick. The MLB investigation concluded that one guy, replay system operator J.T. Watkins, was really the only one involved, and that manager Alex Cora was not. Cora lost his job as manager in Boston because of what he did the previous season as a coach in Houston. Watkins has been suspended. The NHL is said to have abandoned the idea of having all playoff games in one city. They were looking at some small markets. Commissioner Gary Bettman says now 4 cities could be involved, and that the Stanley Cup playoffs may take place this summer. John Stashower, Bloomberg Sports. Nathan.
All right, John, thanks. It's 5:37 on Wall Street, and the latest edition of Bloomberg Business Week is online now with the cover on how Carnival kept cruises going even after it knew of its virus problem. Chris Palmieri wrote the story for Bloomberg Business Week.
They're just losing so much trust. It's going to be very difficult for the people who haven't experienced cruises to see the point of it all.
Read more about this and other stories in this week's edition of Bloomberg Business Week. It is online at businessweek.com, and terminal customers can get a complimentary subscription at MAG Go. Listen to Business Week with Carol Vassar and Jason Kelly right here on Bloomberg Radio, and watch it on YouTube weekdays from 2 to 6 p.m. Wall Street time. Get global business, finance, and tech news on your TV, computer, or mobile device at youtube.com. Search Bloomberg Global News. It's 5:38 on Wall Street, and that's time for the Tri-State Business Report. For that, here's Bloomberg's Ed Corey.
SL Green Realty, a major New York landlord, has lowered its guidance for 2020 because of economic disruption from the coronavirus outbreak. Company says it faces a slowdown in new leases and rent cuts in the coming months and may struggle to collect payments from tenants and holders of its debt. Well, Princeton will not accept funding from the federal government to help colleges that have been hurt by the economic impact of the coronavirus. The $2 trillion stimulus provided about $12.5 billion in direct aid for all colleges, determined by a formula that also allocates money to the wealthiest U.S. colleges. New York City pensions are pushing to remove Lee Raymond, J.P. Morgan Chase & Company's longest-serving director, from the bank's board due to his track record on climate change. The group says Raymond does not have the impartiality or understanding of climate change issues to fulfill his responsibilities. That's your Bloomberg Tri-State Business Report. I'm Ed Corey.
All right, thanks, Ed. It's 5:39 on Wall Street, and Bloomberg Radio is on the air from San Francisco to New York, London to Hong Kong. Let's check in with our global news team for some of the top stories heard on our 300 affiliate radio stations around the world.
I'm Jeff Bellinger, and on Kogo in San Diego, I'm reporting a growing number of companies are warning workers not to use Zoom video because of security concerns.
I'm Courtney Donahoe on KTRH in Houston. Oil remains under intense pressure from the swelling global surplus.
I'm Roger Hearing on Bloomberg DAB Digital Radio in London. We're reporting on the government's plans to survey 20,000 households to track virus infection and immunity.
I'm Gina Cervetti, and for WFLA in Orlando, I'm reporting that Apple plans to issue a patch after a cybersecurity firm found vulnerabilities that may allow hackers to exploit iPhones.
I'm Ed Corey on WWJ in Detroit. I'm reporting researchers think automakers are in for a less drastic sales plunge than they thought in the U.S.
Those are some of the stories our 2,700 Bloomberg journalists and analysts are working on this morning. Some other stories we're watching: Credit Suisse joining U.S. banks in taking an upfront hit from the coronavirus. The lender's taking more than $1 billion in write-downs and provisions for bad loans. And Bloomberg News has learned Royal Caribbean is in talks to raise new financing with the cruise industry hit hard by the pandemic. Sources say Royal Caribbean is discussing a package that could include as much as $600 million of bonds. It's working with Morgan Stanley on a possible offering. Futures slightly higher. This is Bloomberg.
Message and data rates may apply. T&C and privacy terms can be found at babbel.com/terms. Please don't text and drive.
Have you wanted to speak a new language, but you thought it'd be too hard or take too much time? Then try Babbel for free by texting EXPLORE to 64,000. In just 15 minutes a day, you'll be on your way to speaking a new language in just a few weeks. And right now, you can try Babbel for free. Babbel starts out teaching you words and phrases by matching them with pictures. You won't believe how easy the interactive program is. Soon the sentences get a little bigger, and before you know it, you're having simulated conversations voiced by native speakers. And because Babbel is crafted by language experts and uses the spaced repetition method, in just 10 to 15 minutes a day, you'll be speaking the language of your choice with real confidence. With Babbel, you can speak a language. Just text EXPLORE to 64,000 and start your first lesson in the language of your choice for free. Download the Babbel app or text EXPLORE to 64,000 and try it for free. Text EXPLORE to 64,000.
Hey y'all, Jeff Foxworthy here. Now, if you've ever found yourself repeating the same thing over and over for 75 years, you might be Smokey Bear.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
That's why I'm filling in for Smokey to switch things up, because there's a lot more to say. And I should know because my grandfather was a firefighter. And one of the things he taught me is that the people that love the outdoors the most are often the ones accidentally starting wildfires, which means always BYOB. No, bring your own bucket to the campfire. And be extra careful with things like burning yard trimmings. Don't just walk away, or chances are you might be starting a wildfire. So for the love of the outdoors, go to SmokeyBear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
This is Zero Blue.
Okay, people, I've got the daily checklist. Who today has ignored a call on purpose? Tick. Talked yourself out of a workout? Tick. Spent far too long scrolling on your phone? Tick. Here's another for your list. BritBox. Streaming the BBC, ITV, Channel 5, and now Channel 4. All in one place and ad-free. So add BritBox to your list and get a 30-day free trial of the biggest box of British box sets. Search BritBox free trial. Tick. Biggest compared to other SVOD providers. Auto renews at $5.99 a month unless cancelled. T's and C's apply.
This is a message from the government. Coronavirus is a national emergency, life-threatening for people of all ages everywhere in the UK. To help save lives, stay home. Only go outside for food, health reasons, daily exercise, or to work, but only if you cannot work from home. Stay home. Anyone can get it, and anyone can spread it. Coronavirus. Stay home, protect the NHS, save lives.
Get your MLB fix with these great podcasts on TuneIn. Fill your seventh inning stretch with the Ringer MLB Show.
I just can't get over it. It's like, oh, well, Jeter Downs. Didn't realize he was a top. Like, my dad is drinking the Kool-Aid on this. He's like, of course. Mookie was going to leave. I'm like, what do you mean? You don't know that.
Slide into second with the Starting Nine podcast.
Nolan Arenado slides right into the top spot for favorite baseball player. Active in the league right now. It is a pleasure to be sitting next to you, sir.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Thank you.
This is we've been waiting a long time for this. We actually, in terms of like active
Round the Bases with the Statcast podcast.
Ways of going about it. I picked third, so in some ways it made it easier for me. Mike, just to go over the first couple of picks. Mike took Barry Bonds, who I think was kind of the obvious guy to take number one. Not only
catch these and more MLB podcasts right here on TuneIn. With the NHL season temporarily on ice, now is a good time to catch up on past games.
Bergeron, he scores!
With game replay on TuneIn, you can listen to every power play, slap shot, and goal of the 2019-2020 season so far.
Suter to Cunnin to Fiala, he scores!
For a limited time, it's free for hockey fans everywhere. Search Classic Game Replays to start listening. Want to know a great way to discover the latest and greatest sports audio on TuneIn? It's easy. Just make sure push notifications are enabled on your phone to receive recommendations of sports talk radio and podcasts, along with important breaking news updates.
On air and at TikTok on Twitter. Powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in over 120 countries. This is Bloomberg Radio. Now, a global news update.
Special report, coronavirus update. Governor Gavin Newsom says California hospitals will resume scheduled surgeries. He called it the first significant change to the state's stay-at-home order. President Trump says he told Georgia's governor that he disagreed strongly with his decision to reopen some non-essential businesses.
He said he would authorize states to ease restrictions. Now, Mr. Trump says he has told Georgia's Republican Governor Brian Kemp he strongly disagrees with Kemp's move to allow businesses that clearly cannot involve social distancing, such as hair salons and tattoo parlors, to reopen.
Do I agree with him? No, but I respect him, and I will let him make his decision.
Bob Costantini, Washington.
The Trump administration says most international students and any student who entered the U.S. illegally will be barred from receiving emergency education grants. Congress had approved the grants as part of a $2 trillion rescue package. I'm John Trout.
Tom Keene and Jonathan Farrow.
Is that good for American finance? What is happening with the headcount?
Right, where it counts. Bloomberg Surveillance, weekday mornings at 7 Eastern on Bloomberg Radio. Bloomberg, the world is listening. Markets, headlines, and breaking news 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, the Bloomberg Business app, and on Quick Take by Bloomberg. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
And I'm Karen Moscow. U.S. stock index futures and European shares are fluctuating as investors weigh the latest signs of the coronavirus's impact on the global economy and a slew of corporate earnings. We check the markets every 15 minutes throughout the trading day on Bloomberg. S&P futures are up 4 points. Dow futures up 8. NASDAQ futures up 6. The DAX in Germany's down about 0.2%. 10-year Treasury up 2/32, yield 0.61%, and the yield on the 2-year 0.21%. NYMEX crude oil is up 13.3%, up $1.83 at $15.61 a barrel. COMEX gold is up 0.8%, or $13.70 at $17.52 an ounce. The euro 1.0784 against the dollar. British pound 1.2347, and the yen 107.62. That's a Bloomberg Business Flash. Now here's Michael Barr with more on what's going on around the world. Michael.
Karen, President Trump says he told Georgia's governor that he disagreed strongly with his decision to reopen some non-essential businesses that had been shuttered to contain the coronavirus. Speaking at a White House briefing, President Trump said he told Governor Brian Kemp that he had misgivings over the governor's plan but would not stand in his way. 2 Fox News polls show Joe Biden has significant leads over President Trump in Michigan and Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania. The polls both found the presumptive Democratic nominee leading President Trump by 8 points in the swing states. The president narrowly won those states in 2016. There will be no stage, no podium, and no hug from the commissioner, but there will be living room celebrations. The NFL draft goes virtual tonight. The format will feature NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell announcing the first round picks from his own basement. Global news 24 hours a day on air and on Quick Take by Bloomberg, powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. I'm Michael Barr. This is Bloomberg, John.
Michael, thank you. It is 5:49 on Wall Street. We're live from the Bloomberg Interactive Broker Studios, and this is Bloomberg Daybreak. Good morning. I'm John Tucker. Oil, for the first time all week, prices appear to be stable. For details, we are joined this morning live in the studio here with Bloomberg's Anne-Marie Hordern. Are we on a trajectory to some degree of normalcy in the crude market?
Yeah, you're seeing a little bit of stabilization today, especially with WTI around $16 a barrel, Brent $22 a barrel. They're up. But what I would say is we are still seeing serious imbalances in the supply and demand. Jeff Curry talking now on Bloomberg TV saying the worst of oil demand loss may be behind us, but he's also saying that we could potentially see negative prices again, which we saw on Monday, which that would be for some in this oil market chaos. A lot of people, especially retail investors, lost a lot of money when WTI traded below zero.
That was the May contract. Right now we're into for futures, the June contract. And I should point out that the volume, you pointed this out, you can follow at home with CT Go on your Bloomberg terminal. The volumes are much greater in June than they were for May. So I'm just wondering, was there price exaggeration in that May contract when it fell below zero?
Yeah, so some of it is that people wanted to close out these positions, and with the thing with the WTI contract is if you're holding it and the contract expires, you have to physically, you're obligated to accept that.
Speculators never take actual deliveries.
Yeah, you have to actually take that delivery. And I would think of it as it's partially you're paying to make sure you don't take that